Suppose a Dawa guy is in full panic mode because Avery's just wrecking Dawa, like destroying their entire careers and stuff like that, showing up to their mosques and so on, challenging them, embarrassing them, and so on. And for years, one of the things you notice about Dawa is that their first goal, if you bring up an argument, whether it's against Islam or for Christianity, their goal tends to be first and foremost to discredit the person rather than to refute the argument. They're not primarily interested in refuting the argument or showing a good response.
Yeah, that
They want
sounds
to
like
discredit the person.
typical Darwinist to me. Sure.
Yeah. So they try to discredit the person. And so if they can't deal with the arguments and so on, they start saying, well, Avery is a grifter. And they lay out their case for Avery being a grifter, which is that he doesn't spend his time attacking other Christian groups and
So
denominations
just
and
so
so on.
hang on, just so I'm clear, we are talking about Jay Dyer again now. That is about
You
to
can
happen.
you can use it as a complete hypothetical here. Hypothetical. We're trying to figure out the situations here.
But this isn't a hypothetical. This is in fact what's going on, right?
You gave hypotheticals. Leave Jay Dyer out of it. I'll give a complete hypothetical. So
is this a hypothetical though? Because it sounds like you're talking about Avery, who I know, and with a situation that's actually happening.
That would be an example of the situation, but this happens all the time. This happens all the time. This happened before that. It was happening before that with different people, right? So you got Sam Shamoon helping Malik out and stuff like that. It's a situation that happens over and over again.
Yeah,
Very common. Yeah. So situation, Dawa guy is telling lie to discredit a person so that Muslims don't trust him, and hopefully Christians don't even trust him, so to help avoid having to deal with that person's argument. So he makes up something about someone, and then should Orthodox Christians support that lie because let's say they don't like the person?
Yeah, in this hypothetical, I would say they should not, but it's purely hypothetical, of course.
Okay, so that's good to know.
But it's just baked into the hypothetical. But let me ask you a different hypothetical. If somebody for perchance said, took something like this hypothetical that you gave, and then made a claim that somebody was a cult leader, do you think that that said person should be able to give the criteria for how that person's a cult leader?
Sure.
Okay, can you give me the criteria for why you think that there's certain Orthodox Christians who are prominent in the space? I guess we won't name names because it's all purely hypothetical. Why
name names all you want?
Oh, okay, I can then. Okay, so why is Jay Dyer cult leader?
Right there, I'm thinking in terms of cult tactics. Yeah, seems pretty culty, man.
What I don't oh, you vibed it? Did you just vibe it out, David? That's some
No,
incredible logic.
no.
Oh, okay. So what's the criteria we're using then?
Cult tactics.
What is that?
Let me put it this way. So you side with the, let's suppose you side with the Dawa guys. Dawa guys make up something about Avery in order to discredit him, and you agree. And then when someone says, hey, look what you just did, they're attacking Avery because they're trying to rescue Dawa from him, and you're actually helping him.
You're giving an example. You're giving an example of a thing that we have not even established yet. What are cult tactics? What are they?
No, I'm getting to that just to give the little background.
Can you just tell me what cult tactics are?
Cult tactics? Oh yeah. You have you get a group, you try to isolate them, you use certain manipulation tactics such as you use positive reinforcement, negative reinforcement, punishment, and so on to get people only acting and reacting in certain ways.
I agree
and so on.
with this. I would say that the number one way to delineate a cult from a religious organization, a legitimate one like Christianity, let's say, would be the ostracizing their friends, family, and support network. Can you give me any examples of Jay Dyer ostracizing from his community or telling his community that they need to get rid of their support network, friends, or family, or does he do the opposite of that?
Yeah, you don't have to have that for a cult, but
I think it's the number one criteria for a cult.
Andrew, like seriously here, you know what we say when what we mean when someone is saying something and his followers are acting and they can't.
No, I don't know what you mean. Or I wouldn't be asking you.
Yeah, you do.
No, I don't. Or I wouldn't be asking you. So once again, when I look at the criteria for cults, we can go down.
Yeah, okay, if you're thinking of some like official cult organization. That's not what we're talking about.
Oh,
If you have a
so you
group
made it up?
online on X, no, it's just how we use the term cult, man.
No, it's not how
It's
we
like
use
if
the
it's
term
like it's
cult.
like if I say this guy's a douche, and you say, well, here are the ingredients. You need water and vinegar. Are you saying this person is made of vinegar? And where is this? You know what we're talking about, man.
Really? Because
And you know what we say when
that's
you
funny
know what we're
because
saying when we say that someone is a cult, when
Mhm.
the people just simply follow whatever he said, even if it's completely idiotic,
Really?
and they're incapable of thinking anything else, and all they do is cling to what that guy said, even if it's completely wrong.
Is that what you mean
And
when you say
they fall
Mormons?
back,
When yeah,
they fall back. No,
yeah.
I'm
Are
using. I would
Mormons
say
a cult?
Mormonism is a cult in a different. I've
Oh,
already
okay, got
explained.
it, got it. So what you're saying is that you have different criteria for the things that you call a cult, and so when I ask you for the specific delineation, you're just saying, "Man, it's vibes, bro. Vibes, bro." Even though I use this term specifically in a religious connotation for Mormons, completely differently than how I use it apparently for Jay Dyer, because man, you know what I mean, bro. You know what I mean, Andrew. You know, bro. Like
Yeah,
the cult thing, bro.
when I talk about Dawa guys and just programming people and filling their heads with lies and teaching them to react in certain ways and give certain responses that make no sense and keep them sort of detached from reality, and I say you guys are a cult. No, I don't mean you are the official. You are like the official cult of Mormonism or something like that. You know this. You know
I
this.
think you do mean that Darwinist guys are an official cult because they follow the same
No,
sorts of
no, that
criteria.
that would be in a that would be in a different sense from if you said as a cult or something like that. I'm saying the way they function
I'm
is
saying the
bad.
way they function is identical to the way you would use it for Mormons. What's the delineation point?
Um, no, the way I'm talking about Dawa guys, no,
Okay, what's the
that's not the
delineation
same.
point? What's the demarcation here?
There, I'm talking about. So you have if you wanted to call that some sort of cult or something like this, but them taking a group and then over time keeping them from being able to think anything outside of what their favorite
What's
Dawa
the
guy
difference
says.
between that and Mormonism?
Mormonism has a lot of extra things
What?
in it.
Well, what? They're doing the exact same
Mormonism
thing.
has
What are you
different
talking
things than those
about?
tactics.
When you're saying that these guys are a cult and the Darwinist guys are a cult, when you say Mormons are a cult, you're meaning it the same way as when you say Darwinists are a cult. You did not give me a single delineation. You just said they also do more of other things too. What's the delineation though? What?
If you're talking about Mormonism being a cult or being a cult, all right,
Yeah.
we're using the term, we're using the cult definition that is used for like real actual cults and so on. When you say
Yeah.
you've got some subgroup that programs people not to be able to think outside of what they're told and so on, that can be separate, right? Because it's already like that.
This
The
is just
Dawa
a
guys,
word
what? No,
salad. Tell me
no,
the
no,
demarcation.
no,
What's
no,
the
no, no.
delineation?
Let me break it down for you. The Dawa guys, they program people to the point where you can point out that what they're being told even contradicts the Quran itself. They don't care. You can show them it contradicts what Muhammad said. They don't care.
How's
They
that
only
different
care
than
what the
Mormons?
leader is.
That's no different than Mormons. You could show them why Joseph Smith was a false prophet, they don't care. You can show them
Oh,
that he
okay.
wrote himself into the
If that's
Bible,
no
they don't care. What's the
if
difference?
if that's no different, if what I just said is no different, then that seems to be exactly what like the J fans are like.
Oh, really? Okay, can you explain how?
Yeah, what I just said about Dawa guys,
Yeah.
that over time you program people not to be able to think anything other than what
Can
the
you
leader
show
of
me
the group
how?
thinks.
No, no, no. I don't want you to just reaffirm the case. I want you to show me the case use now. How? Can you show me
How Jay
how?
is doing
Yes,
that?
how?
Oh, it's just the reactions. Everyone gives the exact same reaction. It makes no sense.
So a lot of people agree with you, therefore it's a cult.
No, not at all.
No. Right.
Let me
So
just
so
break it
then
down.
what's the actual criteria here for
Jay.
Jay's cult?
So let's suppose Jay says God logic. So Jay says Avery is a grifter,
Yeah.
and he's just doing this, and he's just doing this stuff, and he refuses to attack other Christian groups and stuff because he's a grifter. You can't trust him. Christianity isn't a serious thing for him. It's all a money making scheme, basically. And
Okay.
you bring this up to a Jay Dyer fan, and instantly you get a ton of insults, right? Apart from that, you get, well, why aren't you debating him on what the true church is? And it's like, what are you talking about? I'm saying he's actively helping Dawa guys.
Yeah, I get all that, but that doesn't
Uh-huh.
actually explain to me how this is a cult. I just say the same thing.
Seems like a cult.
When David Wood comes out and says Jay Dyer has a cult, a bunch of his fans were like, "Yeah, he sure does." It's like, what do we establish here?
I've explained what I'm
You
talking
haven't
about. I've
explained it.
explained.
No, you really haven't. You
Yeah.
haven't explained
When you
how it's
have
a
a
cult,
leader who programs people
like you are
so
when you
that
say
they
that Jay's
can't
a
function
cultist,
and they keep falling back on the exact same two
like your guy,
responses,
like your people
which
do
is
for Jay
insults,
Dyer. Yeah, your
or
people for Jay
saying, why
Dyer.
aren't you debating the true church? And it
Yeah.
makes it impossible to question any behavior. I mean, think
So your
if I were
people,
walking down the street,
what?
if I were walking down the street and I saw Jay Dyer tearing a puppy and I said, hey, quit that puppy. And he said, well, why aren't you defending why aren't you debating the true church? And I said, look, dude, stop the puppy, man. It's bad. And he says, oh, look, he's running from it. And all the fans start going, yes, he's running from this. He's running from this. He's running from the debating the true church. And you say, what the heck are you talking about? I'm talking about quit the puppy. And no one can actually is even capable of seeing the problem.
So when
there.
David Wood,
That's a cult.
okay, so my response. So when David Wood says, hey, Jay Dyer's in a cult, right? And all of his followers are like, yeah, he sure is. He has a cult. We completely agree with you. We completely agree with you, David Wood. That's a cult. Yes, David Wood, you're correct. That's a cult. And people come in and say, actually, that's not a cult. And it doesn't make any sense because it doesn't follow any of the criteria David Wood ever uses to describe cults. And they go, no, it's a cult because their charismatic leader, David Wood, told them it's a cult. That's really weird, David. It's like the same exact criteria
but it's not
that you're using for
not the
Jay
situation,
Dyer
though.
is being used for you as well. That's really bizarre. Why are your followers
It's just
so adamant that Jay
it's
Dyer
just
has a cult?
false.
Well,
It's
how
just
come we can't
false.
correct your followers then, David?
You can.
When?
Tons of people are don't do this. Don't argue over this stuff. It's bad. They're not just
They do
mindlessly
that on the
agreeing with me.
Orthodox side too. What do you mean?
I can't tell where. Oh, you
Inside
have
the
Orthodox
comments. What do you
Christians. You
mean?
have Orthodox Christians. I'm talking about the J fans, man. The J fans.
Which ones of your fans are pushing back against you the hardest that Jay Dyer has a cult? Give me one name.
That's not. They're saying, why are you going after Jay? Just ignore this. Don't talk about this.
Yeah, so they're not disagreeing.
Don't agree with them and cause division.
The same exact thing that you'll see from
What
Jay
would they
Dyer.
What would they disagree on? What would they disagree
So
on?
the same exact same things you would see from Jay Dyer fans who say, this guy's not worth your time. This guy's this guy sucks. Same.
No, when I say it's bad for Jay to be agreeing with a lie from a Dawa guy in order to help Dawa marginalize some person and so on, that's something you would expect people to go, wow, that's correct. That is bad. Jay shouldn't be doing that.
Oh, so you just expect people are going to agree with you by default. That sounds like a cult to me, David, that you think that people are just going to agree with you by default.
You should be able to recognize that making things up about a Christian in order to help Dawa and siding with Dawa guys who then use you as useful idiots is a bad idea. So you don't have to. David Wood can be completely out of the picture.
Yeah, but they don't agree with your characterization.
With a functioning brain, you don't have to. You don't have to.
Yes, you do.
I mean, people would.
They don't.
People would because they say that is how Jay acts. They say that is how Jay acts.
And then they don't too. You see how that works? It's the same thing with you. It's the same exact thing. When you say Jay Dyer's in a cult and he's running a cult and he's a cult leader and you expect instantly that everybody's going to agree with you. How could they not? Obviously, David Wood's right. He's
what are you talking about? No one has to agree with me. No one has to agree with me.
No one has to agree with Jay. It's the exact
same point. And if they do agree with me, it's because, they look at it and say, that's exactly how Jay acts.
Or they look at it and say, yeah, that's exactly how David acts. Same. The application's
where am I doing
exact. The application's exactly the same.
Where are my followers kept from being able to think through basic things about things you should not do?
Where are his being kept from that?
What are you have you not seen what went on since yesterday?
Where are his followers being kept from thinking about things? David.
You're programmed not to be able to think
Tell
about
me
it.
how he's programming them, and it's any different than
you already
people.
agreed. You already agreed with me that an Orthodox Christian should not be affirming the lie of a Dawagandist who's simply trying to discredit a person, and yet Jay's fans were instant in calling me wrong and affirming what he said.
What?
And
that
so
doesn't prove a cult? That's insane. They don't agree
any
with your characterization
anyone
that he's doing that,
any
David.
Christian with a normally functioning brain should be able to
Oh,
see why that is
and who
wrong.
gets to
If
determine
you
they have a
can't
normally
and you
functioning brain? You?
instantly if you instantly start
Uh,
attacking and just cursing at people and then
yeah.
changing the subject, which is what happened almost every single
I'm not here
time,
changing the subject, and
sounds
I
like a
wanna
cult.
know. It's
Not
really
you. I'm not talking
this
about you.
is
I'm
hang
talking
on.
about those
This
guys.
is really
Talking about
strange.
those
This
guys.
is really strange to me. Do you get to make the determination as the leader as to who has a properly functioning Christian brain, David? Is it you who makes that determination?
If you say that it is a good idea, and
Mhm.
yes, Christians should be siding with the Dawa clowns who are attacking the Christians who are wrecking Dawa,
David Wood
and
says no, and you need
it's
to agree
fine
with
to
David
say
Wood,
with
right?
it's fine to agree with them. I'd say you got some serious problems, but now you're just on. We can't say anything because we could be wrong, right?
Well, no, I'm just curious about this. I don't actually understand the position here. The position seems to be that if Orthodox people don't agree with your characterization, that Jay Dyer is somehow trying to side with Darwinists against everybody else because he said bingo one time, and then you went off to call him a cult leader, right? So maybe they don't actually agree with your characterization of how this is going down. Your response to this is they should agree with me because if they don't, they're in a cult. That's really bizarre, David. That sounds like you're in a cult and are making
That's not the
demands that you're correct. Hang
that's
on, let
not
me
how it
finish
works,
my point. That you're correct by default because after all, you're David Wood. Who would disagree with you? You're just right, right?
Andrew. That's not how. Are you serious?
I'm
I say
serious.
something and then it's you should all agree with me because I'm David
You know
Wood
when you say, "Are you serious?"
and
I'm
not
always
you
serious.
should agree with me because all of you understand do not help Dawa guys when they make things up to discredit Christians. Don't do it. That's bad.
Yeah,
That's a
and can
bad
you
thing to
show
do. That
me?
is an evil
Yeah,
thing to do.
can you show me where Jay Dyer has ever affirmed Darwinism? Where it is that Ortho Bros affirm Darwinism? Where it is that they say anything just because it's the case that they came to similar conclusions about a thing, right? How would that immediately or
Well, let me
instant? Hang on, stop. How would
okay.
that immediately or instantly make the determination that they are agreeing with Darwinism or supporting them in any of their efforts? For instance, Daniel Kikikachu once said, right, that it's cleaner for men to wash their than wipe them with toilet paper. I agree. I agree. Am I emboldening the Darwinists, David? Am I emboldening them against their enemies because all of them universally are like, well, see, Orthodox Andrew agrees with us.
Nothing to
No,
do with this situation. Now let's have a more
so
accurate
no,
and more
so
no,
no.
let's have a more accurate parallel. No, a
Uh-huh.
Dawa guy could say the sky is blue, and you could say he's right, the sky is blue,
Okay.
or something closer to Christian. A Dawa guy could say the universe is created by God. You could say I agree, the universe is created by God.
Uh-huh.
No, you're not. You're not helping them when you do that. So let's change the situation. Let's suppose
Uh-huh.
you brought up Daniel Hakikachu. You debated Daniel Hakikachu. Total massacre. Total massacre. Now
Yeah, it
suppose
must be
right
because
after
I support the evil
no,
Taoist.
gonna you're
Go
you're
ahead.
you're helping them. That's not the point. Um, I mean, Tucker for years was blasting away at but now he says that the only thing Christians are allowed to do in response is submit. That is very interesting. But
Great.
anyway,
Yeah, Tucker
different
sucks.
situation.
What do you want me to say?
That's not. I'm saying just because someone did something in the past does not mean they're not doing something right now. Right? That's the only point. So,
So I'm helping Darwinists
and,
now.
yeah, you are.
Oh, can you tell me how?
Why do you think Dawa guys are actually rooting for you?
Well, because I'm right. But
You
how
think they're
does
doing
that
it because you're right, and
yeah.
not because you're going after the same people they're going after.
Well, it could be
No,
there could
let me
be
just
hang on.
get the hypothetical.
There could
Yeah.
be a case use here where it is the case that liberals go after Tucker Carlson, and I agree with them. Do I now support liberalism? Am I emboldening liberals now, David?
If they were suppose they were lying about Tucker Carlson, and just because you were mad or
Well,
something
now
like
hang
that, you
on.
agree with the lie.
When you say lie, that's baked in to your belief. You haven't demonstrated any lie. You haven't demonstrated that Jay Dyer is lying and that he doesn't believe that Avery's a grifter. You have not
Oh, okay,
demonstrated that. You just
okay.
bake it in and say that it is in fact the case that he is lying, which that's nice. But you haven't
Okay,
demonstrated.
so
Hang on,
if
stop,
someone
stop.
just
Hang
completely
on, my
makes
turn. Let me finish. Let me
if someone
finish. Oh,
completely
let me
makes
finish.
something up, that's okay according to you, right? You can just make things up
What
about
was made
Christians.
up?
That Avery's a grifter.
Yeah, can you prove that Jay doesn't believe that because lies require intent?
Um, if you it would
No.
if he believes it,
Yeah.
it would just be a different sort of problem. It would just be
Yeah, maybe,
I can believe I can believe anything without any
then you would
evidence.
have a different sort of problem with it, but if he
So
believes
I
it
so I
but
so
you're
you
saying
so
he lied.
in theory I can make up
Yeah.
anything about you and just say I really believe it, and then that's fine. That's not lying, right?
If unless I could demonstrate somehow through some sort of evidence that it
Unless you can
was.
prove it. So
Yeah.
if I say you 50 people
Mm,
and buried them somewhere and we don't know where,
mm.
you can't prove that
Oh,
you
yeah, sure I
didn't, and
can.
therefore it'd be
Yeah,
totally
sure.
fine.
I can use what's called an argument from affirmation. So you can just be like, "Well, look, when was the date, time, and all of the various factors?" And
No,
I could
I just say
definitely
I just say you
you
50
could
people. You're a serial.
but do you agree with me that you could believe that?
I could believe that, and so it would
Great.
just be a different problem. There's one if I'm
Yeah,
knowingly
great.
lying, and
Yeah.
it'll be a different problem if I just make things up and
Great,
I
but
believe them. That'd be a different kind
but
of
we
problem.
haven't moved into the different problem yet. We're still on the he lied problem. Can you demonstrate that Jay Dyer doesn't believe that? That's the question at hand. Can
Oh,
you
if you want to
demonstrate
say
he's lying?
if you want to say he made it up on no evidence and he really believes it and he's not deliberately lying, but he's just going with something that's made
Well,
up, that's
you
fine.
could
I'm
say that
happy
you
to go
don't
with that.
like his reasoning, fine, but that doesn't mean that he's lying.
Well,
You keep
I mean,
on
if I want to say you 50 people and I
continuously
think, he just kind of looks like he 50 people, and I could take that as great evidence, I would still think that's extremely messed
well,
up
I
to
don't
say
know.
about
It
someone.
seems to me like you're actually lying because you just negated your own position. You said that, yes, it's true. I can't actually demonstrate, and so therefore have no good reason to believe that Jay Dyer is lying and that he may actually believe this. And yet you still bake in every hypothetical that Jay Dyer is lying. So which is it? Is he lying
It's
or
he's
not?
supporting the lie. It's he's supporting the lies.
Which lie?
That was the question
Which lie is he
of the
supporting?
Dawa guys,
Which
that he's a
lie?
grifter.
But no, he could agree that he's a grift. That's not supporting the Dawa guy's lie.
Um, it yeah, it is. Let me
No,
just go back
no,
to the
no, no, it's
hypothetical.
not.
Hang on.
No, it's not.
Hang on. Well, hang on.
No, no, it's
I'll
not.
give it. Suppose the hypothetical Christian is calling you out. He says, he says, Andrew Wilson lies 80% of the time. Therefore, don't trust anything he says because it's probably a lie. And this is the guy who calls your wife a
Yeah.
because he's extremely desperate and can't answer your objections,
So,
and
but these are still two
he's
different
just
guys, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So he's going after your wife specifically because that's how enraged he is.
Yes.
And then
Very
he
upset.
says,
Yes.
Andrew lies 80% of the time. And
Yes.
then Daniel Hakikachu, just because you burned him up in the debate and he's mad, goes on and says, yes, Jay, you're correct. Bingo. Andrew Wilson does lie 80% of the time. And then they go ahead and use that, say, see, even Daniel Hakikachu agrees with us Christians that Andrew lies 80% of the
Yeah. What
time.
you
And
have
then they
not
use that.
shown.
You would say,
Yeah,
well,
that's bizarre.
he's not responsible for that just
He's
because
not.
they made up something and I agreed
And
with
you
what
tell
they
me
made up
how, well, wait,
doesn't mean
so
that I'm responsible for them
this is
using what
really
I
funny.
said
So now you're
to
baking
confirm the
in.
lie.
Yeah, you're baking in a bunch of things here, which is bizarre. The first thing you keep baking in is that, oh, it's made up, right? You haven't demonstrated anything is made up here. You
You don't
just
have to demonstrate. You didn't
you just
demonstrate.
affirm it.
No one demonstrated that God logic's in this for the money, and that he's. If you're saying you believe it, guess what? Someone can believe.
Yes,
Do you
but you
think
would
there are
need to
people who think you're a liar
demonstrate
out
you
there?
would at least need to demonstrate that that person thinks they're lying, at the very least, for you to just be like, "Oh, I just made it up." It's like, "Well, wait a second. What?" I don't know that I would even say that you can't make an inductive reason argument. Like, for instance, I like Avery. I like Avery a lot. Nice guy. I like talking to him on the phone. I like all of
Like a
those
grift? You
guys.
like that grifter, man?
Yeah, I like him fine. Like him fine. I'm the king of the grift, baby. Okay? I like
Jay
Avery just fine. But here's the thing that's funny.
Jay doesn't like the grifter.
Here's the thing
Andrew
that's
does.
yeah, here's the thing that's funny though, right? Yeah, I'm not in a cult. I don't need to agree with everything Jay Dyer says in order to know that you're full of shit about this. So the first
That's
thing
good. I
is
only
that
wish his cult members could.
when we go to Avery though, this is where it gets really funny. So Avery does not actually tell us, like you don't, what your Christian denominations even are. None of you guys actually tell anybody that. So inductively, I understand why it is that Jay thinks that you're trying to cast the widest net possible in order to capture the largest amount of audience that you possibly can in order to gain money. That inductively makes sense to me. Is it true? I wouldn't say that it's true. I don't think that Avery does that. I don't think that that's the kind of guy he is. But inductively, I can't say that Jay has an unreasoned position, even if I disagree with it. What you've done is you've taken it a step further, though. You have said that Jay is purposely colluding with Darwinist in order to undermine you, even though all that happened, in fact, is that he agreed with a specific set of propositions, and then you got upsetty spaghetti that Darwinists decided that they were going to use that against you. Like that's Jay's problem.
Yeah, the fact that I mean, of all the people in the world that you could agree with, you agree with the guy who's let's just, I mean, I don't know how anyone would disagree with this. If you
I'm
are
probably
so
going to.
obvious, if you are so obviously enraged at someone that you just go after his wife and so on, probably not the most unbiased source of information on someone. And then if you go out and agree with that person on his next attack on Avery, which you can read in the you can read in the context, is in response to the Orthobros. He's offering you guys something. He's trying to get you to agree with him. He's saying, "Hey, Orthobros, I see you're mad at Avery right now. Yeah, that's because guess what? He's a grifter. This is what," and he says this, and then you affirm it. This. It's not like they just independently
You're just saying the
some.
same. You're not actually demonstrating this claim, though. You're not showing how Jay Dyer is responsible because he believes this thing, right? And somebody gave him a specific set of propositions he agreed with. He said, bingo, how it is that he's emboldening them or gave them permission to use this in order to hurt Christians everywhere. Jay Dyer
That's
has
not.
a specific job.
No.
Yeah. Hang on, let me
They were
finish. Let me
baiting.
fin-
They
I
were
didn't
baiting
interrupt
you. They
bro.
were
Calm
baiting
down.
you
I didn't
guys
interrupt
into
you.
agreeing with
Calm
them.
down.
They were baiting them into agreeing with you,
Calm
and then
down.
you did it.
Calm down.
Okay.
Right? Whatever you think the nefarious evil trap was that Jay Dyer got sprung on him is irrelevant to whether or
No, it's
not
not.
he agreed to a specific set of propositions because he agreed with them. And then that's used against you. You don't like it. I get that, but you haven't demonstrated how Jay's now siding with him. Jay considers, because he's an Orthodox apologist, he doesn't consider most of the online Christians to be any better than most of the Muslims. He considers them to be Protestants just like they are, dogmatically. He might think that they have better moral propositions because they do. And I think he would agree that they do. But that doesn't mean that dogmatically he thinks that they're correct. His great commission is to go after all false dogma, which would include yours, apostate prophets, all of the Darwinists, all of the Muslims. In fact, everybody who's not Orthodox. That's his commission. That's what he's there to do. That includes
He is
Avery.
Orthodox.
That includes Avery. Avery. Now, I like Avery. It's not my commission to do this, but it is Jay Dyer's. If Jay Dyer has inductively reasoned out that he believes that Avery is a grifter, whether I agree that he's a grifter or not, the inductive reasoning for what Jay gave is fine. And if he agrees to a set of propositions and says bingo, for you to say that he's going out to embolden a bunch of Muslims to destroy you is one step too far, and you can't seem to tie that together. When are you going to tie it together?
That's not what I'm saying though. So let's change a little bit. If Dawa guys are tossing something out there, and I would say obviously fishing for an orthobro during the orthobro versus Avery controversy, and he's tossing something up because they always do this. Anytime there's some conflict, they jump in there and they go after the
I don't
person
care
that
about
is.
their motivations, Dave. It's
Hang on, I
irrelevant.
just let you talk for like 4 minutes straight.
Yeah, but their motivation is irrelevant. You didn't let me talk for 4
No,
minutes.
no.
Straight.
I'm modifying it. I'm modifying it. So if these guys are obviously fishing, that has nothing to do with Jay, their motivation, but they're obviously fishing, trying to get the people who are already mad at Avery to help them. So they say, hey, Avery's a grifter. And what they want is some Christians to agree, yes, Avery is a grifter. And you go with it because you've made your
Because you agree?
inductive.
Because you agree.
And you go to them and say, you Dawa guys are absolutely correct about this
Yeah.
person that you're attacking because you
Yeah.
can't answer him. That should be fine, right?
Yeah. So if a Darwinist,
If you agree with it,
yeah,
if you agree with it, it should be
let
fine.
me just
Right?
ask back the same exact question. So if a Darwinist says Gretchen Whitmer's a piece of who ruined Michigan, and I went bingo, right? I am now affirming all Darwinist beliefs because they're setting a trap or
I've never
something
said that. Quit
nefarious.
strawmanning me. Quit strawmanning me. I've never said that
Then
he's
okay, then
responsible,
I'm
that he's
assisting.
affirming
Then
that
I'm
Muhammad's a
assisting.
prophet.
Then hang on, I'm assisting them.
He's assisting
Uh-huh.
them.
Assisting them.
He's assisting them
Yeah.
discrediting Avery. It's already being used. It's already being used. They're
Yeah.
already using it.
Yeah.
They're already using it.
Yeah.
You see,
How's that
even
Jay's
the orthobros
responsibility?
agree with us.
How's that Jay's responsibility?
Because he went to them and agreed with them and affirmed this about this guy based on no evidence.
How is it his responsibility what they do, which is nefarious with what he said? Did he say, go use this to discredit Avery? Can you show me that?
How are you not getting this?
How are you
If they
not
said,
getting
again,
this?